Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Chicago rocked by another bloody weekend. Dozens shot, including a child, fatally. One 7-year-old child was shot in the leg while on the way to church. This is another example out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of weekends in Chicago and other major cities that taking away guns from law-abiding citizens will end up with bad guys and criminals with guns and your government with guns and the rest of us none. Welcome back, all you thought criminals. And those of you that are new, welcome. I mean, I don't understand. Yes, the mass shootings are horrible stuff. Absolutely horrible. But every single weekend, we get mass shootings in all the Democrat-run major cities. I don't know how in the world a city can have a gun law. I don't even know if that's constitutional. I think states can, and the federal government can, of course. I just don't get it. But anyway, let's read on. Chicago saw another bloody weekend with 34 people shot, including a 3-year-old boy fatally shot in an officer-involved shooting that left the suspect dead. We've seen children across the city, children shot across the city in ridiculous numbers. That's right. When do we become a society where we stop caring about children? Well, let's see. Obviously, we don't care about them in these crime-plagued cities. How about minors having surgery? I'll leave it at that because it's YouTube and you can't go into detail, but I think you know what I mean. Life-altering surgeries and all kinds of chemicals. Since when did we stop giving a damn about kids? Among the children shot and killed this weekend was a 3-year-old Matteo Zastro, who was riding in a car with his mom and 3 siblings when gunshots struck him during a suspected road rage incident about 8:30 on Friday night. Be interesting to see how many of these guns were legal. That mother is still grieving. All she's doing is clutching onto 2 dinosaurs, and this was the boy's favorite toy. My heart breaks. It really does. But when are people going to wake up? I'm not trying to make an example of this mother. I'm not. But her, because she's obviously just in horrible grief. But how can you, baby that lives around her, that knows her, thinks to themselves, these Democrat laws concerning not protecting ourselves. Granted, she couldn't protect herself as the car was driving by. I get it. But these are the same defund the police. Cut back on the police. I was a city councilman in the early 2000s. Of course, defund the police was not a thing back then. I live in upstate New York. I would never vote for defunding the police. That's insane. Unless, of course, you don't care about low-income people. And then you might want to do it. Isn't that interesting? Another child, an unidentified 7-year-old, was shot in the leg while heading to church on Sunday with his family. The family member saw a person going through his parked car and confronted him before the suspect fired a gun in the family's direction. The boy is expected to recover, according to local reports, and the suspect was apprehended. Yeah, rifling through a car because he knows if he gets caught and he's arraigned for breaking into a car, burglary, whatever the charge is, they're just going to cut him loose with no bail. As of Monday, police saw 34 people shot across the city this weekend. That's just Chicago, including 5 fatally. I bet you if you add up all the major cities over the weekend that just passed, dwarfs any mass shootings in grocery stores or malls or schools. But that's all the press talks about. It's amazing to me. Early Sunday morning, an officer-involved shooting left the suspect dead in the Old Town neighborhood of the city. Officers were alerted by a member of the public early Sunday that a man pointed a gun at them, according to Chicago police. Yeah. How would you like to be the police superintendent in Chicago? My God, my God. Officers located the suspect who allegedly pointed the gun and tried to apprehend him, but he fled the officers. Officers located the suspect a second time, which led to the fatal shooting. They tried to detain the person. He takes off running. There is a foot chase. He escapes, Brown said Sunday. And they see him a second time. One of the officers gets out. One of the 2 officers get out of the car and tries to confront again. take him into custody. The officer then fires his weapon, striking the offender, and the offender is deceased. Yeah. Death by cop. There's no way you can win. What are you thinking? Brown did not say whether the suspect aimed a gun at the officers before he was fatally shot. Chicago Police Department directed Fox News Digital civilian office of police accountability for updates. Last weekend, the city recorded 7 fatal shootings and 29 people injured. Yeah, so that's what? We'll do the math here. 11 dead and almost 60 wounded in a 10-day period? And they want to take guns away from law-abiding citizens. I'm sure Chicago, like New York and L.A. and all the big cities, all have very restrictive gun laws. It's incredible to me. I'm glad that the Supreme Court ruled that New York's concealed carry license requirements were unconstitutional. In other words, when you go to file for a concealed carry, you have to give the reason why you want it. And the answer is really none of your blanking business. I need it for personal protection. It's none of your business. Since when does any of our God-given rights and constitutional rights, you need a reason to exercise them? When you go to vote, does a person at the Board of Elections say, oh, by the way, before we can have you register, we need to know why you want to vote. We need to know why you want to go to church. We need to know why you have First Amendment right. We want to know why, all these things. You know, why do you want a trial by jury of your peers? I mean, all the constitutional and God-given rights, you don't have to give an explanation for exercising them. You plead the Fifth Amendment. They'll say to you, well, before you can plead the Fifth Amendment, what is your reason behind pleading for the Fifth Amendment? No, of course not. That'd be ridiculous. But you have to give a reason in New York for wanting a gun or a concealed carry permit. Well, the court ruled no. So I know here in upstate New York, it's not New York City, thank God, or nowhere close to it. The concealed carry permit applications are really going up. And we have a really good sheriff here in Broome County. So it's not a problem. It went from a may issue state, in other words, we'll get around it when we feel like it, to a shall issue state. And a lot of that's done with a local sheriff. So those of you that don't vote in sheriff's races, maybe you ought to reconsider. Again, somebody ought to do a quick search in the last year, a year to date from today. How many people were shot in big cities and how many were wounded? And then compare them to the mass shootings in the grocery stores and the malls and such in schools and do a side-by-side comparison. It'll dwarf any of the mass shootings, probably 5, 8, maybe even 10 to 1, who knows? My gut tells me that's the truth, but yet you hear absolutely nothing about these type of shootings from the mainstream media. And of course, that's by design. It disgusts me to no death, to death that a small kid was killed. What was that kid, 3 years old? Good Lord. Prayers out to that family and that young boy now who's sitting with in heaven. Until the next time, goodbye and good luck.